Welcome to the deep dive. We dig through the sources, pull out the good stuff, and hopefully make it interesting along the way. Today we're getting into a brand that just ripped up the playbook and somehow came out on top. We are talking about Ain't Nobody Cool, ANC. And our main source here is Ain't Nobody Cool. From Bootlegs to Barbarian mode. By Nugganotes, it says they started as basically a joke and somehow became this, unique cultural thing. So the big question for this deep dive is really, how did a brand that was all about trolling, super anti-establishment, how did it build this really loyal following by doing, well, everything wrong by the book? And maybe more importantly, why should you listening care about this pretty niche corner of culture?
Right. So our mission today is to peel back those layers. You've got the irony, the strategy, or maybe the brilliant lack of strategy, and just the sharp commentary going on in Ain't Nobody Cool. We want to pull out those nuggets, insights about branding, about authenticity, and how going against the grain, that subversion can actually be super powerful today, magnetic almost.
Okay, so let's dive in. How did this Ain't Nobody Cool thing actually start? The source mentions a joke that hit too hard. LA, maybe 2012, using $5 blanks like cheap shirts, busted screen prints, and they apparently had a real gift for trolling hype beasts. Maybe explain hype beasts quickly for anyone not deep in that world. They're the super obsessive collectors, right? Chasing drops.
Exactly. Yeah, chasing the limited editions, the exclusive gear. And what's really fascinating from the Nug Notes piece is that ANC explicitly said, right from the start, no pre-team, no mission, just chaos in a tee. This isn't just, being organic. It's almost weaponizing being imperfect. It taps into that feeling, I think, that people are tired of super polished by this now culture. So the insight is, for some people, authenticity isn't just nice to have. It's like a defiant flag a brand can wave just by being flawed.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder, though, can brands successfully switch to this cult over corporate thing later, or does it have to be baked in from the start, like with ANC?
That's a really good question, because it underlines that this whole cult over corporate idea, it wasn't some smart marketing move they figured out later. It was there from day one. They weren't trying to be cool. They were just, doing their thing. And that seemed to work. Okay, so what about the look, the visuals? That hockey mask logo is pretty distinctive. The source calls it somewhere between Jason Voorhees and a stolen mixtape cover, which is quite a description. But even though it was rough, people rocked it like it meant something. It's almost an anti-logo, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and that's exactly why it works, I think. The early stuff had this really unique feel, mashing up rap lyrics with cartoon energy. Like the source says, Project Pat Bars next to Kenny from South Park. Just totally irreverent, captures that DIY thing perfectly. And it wasn't just a small group getting it. That Vegeta tee and the Friends Forever one, the 2-pack Biggie, Beavis, and Butthead mashup, apparently the most bootlegged things they did, which kind of proves how much impact that anti-design actually had.
It's so funny, the irony. Their early success kind of proves the exact opposite of their name, right? That initial brand with the question mark, it was supposed to be a joke, a punchline, but it turned into a real business pretty quick. It wasn't just drip, cool clothes. It was a dunk, like the source says, a total win for their whole anti-brand thing, scoring points by not seeming to care. And speaking of business, they did actually dip their toes into mainstream retail for a bit. Pacsun and zumiez for 2 years.
Yeah.
That seems like a big step away from $5 planks.
Yeah.
How did that fit with the anti-corporate vibe?
Well, I think the really significant part is that they pulled back, the source says, pull back after the pandemic, choosing cult over corporate. That decision, it can't be overstated. It's not just saying no to getting bigger. It's signaling this extreme exclusivity. It's like saying, you can't just buy into this. You have to be part of this tribe that resists being sold out.
Right.
Which is, pretty rare today when everyone's chasing growth. It goes right back to that no mission, just chaos idea.
Yeah, definitely. And their setup now seems to reflect that scarcity commitment. They sell hoodies, jerseys, and one-offs that vanish. I love the line, grailed resellers call it rare, but ANC just says not restocking. And apparently their Shopify site still runs, but fulfillment is vibes. What does that even mean for someone buying stuff? Are you basically buying the attitude as much as the hoodie?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're buying into the whole irreverent package. They really have never chased scale.
Yeah.
And this approach means, like the source puts it, Ain't Nobody Cool is a dare, an inside joke turned uniform for people who like fashion like their memes, loud, weird, and probably stolen. It's a signal, for a very specific person who gets the chaos and the self-awareness. It's not just buying a thing, it's joining the club.
And their world definitely got bigger than just clothes. They manage RXK Nephew, who the source calls one of rap's most unpredictable voices.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right. Fits the brand energy perfectly. Guerrilla shows, wild merch, unhinged tweets. It feels like a totally natural fit, doesn't it? Totally. And then you've got America's Most Wanted 420, their cannabis brand. The source says this weed play hits like the Tease Limited, loud and unserious. It was this three-way collab with Green Dog Drew and Distro by Ted's Buds back in 2022. And even the packaging, the sketch art mylars, these hand-drawn looking bags, and selling merch bundles, not bulk. It's all the same anti-mass production vibe. And the instructions were classic ANC, ask your local dispensary, then sprint away. Just perfectly unserious and limited.
Okay, but this brings up something interesting, a bit of tension maybe. The source mentions they were the first brand no jumper ever interviewed, which is a pretty big platform. And there's that story about Adam 22 asking Alex, one of the guys behind ANC, to co-host, and he just said, F no, straight up. But then later on, they did do merch collabs with No Jumper, Nick Colletti, Casey Fry, DJ Smokey, Pauly Shore, Buddy J. So how do they do that? How do they keep the anti-establishment thing going while collaborating with, established names and platforms? Doesn't that risk their whole cult over corporate street cred?
That's a really sharp point, and I think it shows a nuanced game they're playing. It looks like they pick collaborations very carefully, always on their terms. It's more about amplifying their own weirdness than selling out. The fact they apparently said F no first, then collaborated later, that kind of underlines that they're calling the shots. They're not being swallowed by the mainstream. They're sort of selectively hijacking it, injecting their chaos into those spaces. It's like subversion from the inside, maybe, rather than just staying completely outside.
Okay. So if we bring it back to the main message, it really is just cool is dead, stay weird. There are no drops to chase, no rules to follow, which is kind of freeing, actually. Does that almost nihilistic thing give them a freedom other brands just don't have, for better or worse?
I think you're spot on. Yeah, it reinforces their whole point. Ain't nobody cool. That's the point.
Right.
It's not just checking out. It's actively building this inverted kind of appeal. ANC shows that by saying we're not cool, they somehow became the definition of cool for a specific group. And that's a powerful lesson, isn't it? Sometimes the best move is to create your own anti-market instead of fighting in the existing one. It's a brand built on, like, a dare, a wink, and really understanding counterculture.
Exactly. They even made that 90s-style jersey that says nothing. Black letters on black mesh. Nihilism you can sweat through. It's like the perfect product embodiment of their whole philosophy. A statement that's also not a statement.
Right. So the whole journey of Ain't Nobody Cool, it really is like a masterclass in turning branding upside down, using that irony, that extreme scarcity, to build this really unique, almost kind of sacred bond with their people. It just proves that sometimes, not caring about being cool is actually the coolest moves you can make.
So thinking about that, if cool is dead, like Ain't Nobody Cool says, what does that actually mean for trends, for authenticity and culture going forward? How could you, listening, maybe apply that cult over corporate idea, whether it's to your own projects or just how you understand why people buy things? What really stands out to you the most about their completely unapologetically weird way of doing things? Something to think about.